move into the next fiscal year. Tonight, what I wanted to do, instead of me giving a report about what was going on in the city, as well as some of the activities and things that had transpired since the last time we had a council meeting, I wanted to invite Mr. Luke Elder, who is the general manager of Mercedes. Mercedes came to the city of Irondale, and it opened in February of 2018. And I asked Luke if he would just come and give us an update about how wonderful the dealership is doing there. Although they've been there for only 5 years, they are the largest sales tax producer in the city of Irondale. So Luke, if you would come and just give us an update about what's going on at the great dealership. Yes. And you can also tell everybody that now we can allow Nick Saban to come into the room to speak, because he is here with you as well to give a presentation.
How about that? Okay, good deal. Good evening again. Thank you guys for having me. It's interesting for me to be here. It's fun to be here. I got to meet Mayor Stewart, spend a few minutes with him several weeks ago, which was really fun. It was great to show him a little bit of who we are, and he asked me to share a little bit with you guys how we've done since February of 2018. And I guess anybody in any type of supply chain industry, the automotive industry is certainly no exception. The last couple of years have been a challenge, but we have, since February of 2018, we have sold, we just cracked our 10,000th new and used Mercedes-Benz to be sold out of the location in Irondale. We have serviced over 70,000 individual customers through our location since February of 2018. It is, we've been blessed. The success has been great. We find ourselves, kind of bursting at the seams in spots, which is great. We also, right now, find ourselves with, more demand than the supply can possibly meet. So we're in a really good position there. We have about 160 people that work for us collectively. We focus, again, as Mayor Stewart was able to witness and participate in a couple of Fridays ago, our people are our lifeblood. That's who we focus on. That's how we have been able to be as successful as we've been, and how confident I am of how successful we'll be in the future. We invest in them. We challenge them to provide an experience that's unmatched in our industry and even beyond. And then our goal as a leadership team is to support them and to give them the resources and the tools that they need to continue to be successful. And they have done a phenomenal job with that. And I'm very fortunate to be able to work with them every day. So we have come a long way. The big topic right now in the automotive industry is electrification. We do have 2 fully electric Mercedes-Benz vehicles, charging stations up front. We've had one since the beginning of the year, which is our Mercedes-Benz EQS, which is built on the S-Class platform, which is our flagship model. It's at a price point that doesn't allow a lot of volume. It's pretty up there. But the EQB is our newest product, which will be priced in the mid-50s. It's a great SUV. It's our first SUV entrant. We're expecting 2 more between now and the end of the year. So we're excited about that. Again, they won't be large volumes. Our core products, our SUV products, built right here in Alabama. Tons of pride for us, tons of pride for our clientele. So it's important that they will continue to grow and be an integral part of what we do. And I can tell you they are still the most sought after products at our dealership. So that's kind of where we've been over the last couple of years, and where we're looking to go with the products. But the core of what we do every day is to serve our customers, to serve our team members, and to be a great member of this community. And we're grateful to be a part of it. So thank you very much for having me. It's great.
Do you mind sharing with them about the car that I tried to convince you to allow me to have in the Christmas parade, but you told me that if it was still there for that length of time, that wouldn't be a good thing.
Yeah. There was it was our new SL just recently launched. We've had one. We do now have a yellow one and a blue one that have come in. You guys can talk to me after this. We'll hook you up. And but no, it was great because we had the perfect red one, and it lasted about a day. And the mayor's like, "This would be perfect for the Christmas parade." And I said, "Well, if it's still sitting here at Christmas, you're going to be talking to a different general manager of this store." So it's a double-edged sword with inventory challenges being what they've been. But at the same time, it gets better. We're optimistic every day, and thank goodness people want what we have to sell. So those are positives that I'll take every day. So, any other questions? Or
Thank you, Luke.
All right, good deal. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
That ends my report, Council President.
Thank you, sir. I like the presence from the business community. That was very nice. Thank you for that, sir. And thank you, Luke, for participating. Department head reports. Do we have any department heads that would like to provide a report this evening? All right, fair enough. At this time, we would go ahead and move into our council reports. I would go ahead and yield my time to Miss Stephanie, who would like to come up and speak to the audience this evening.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
I come to you this be just a little them just yet. All right, so test scores for the state of Alabama just recently came out, and our board of directors currently is really kind of motivated because the scores have increased. Are you aware of that? All right, so let me share a little bit about those scores for you. You know, our students test in English language arts, they test in math, and they also test in science. 2021, our scores were 45% in English language, 35% in science, and 22% in math. But fortunately, in 2022, our scores did increase. Let me tell you what those increased scores went to. English language arts went to 47%, science to 37%, and math to 27%. I don't know about you, but I'm a parent of 4 children. I have graduated from a county school here. I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts from a community college, a state college, and I attained a Bachelor's of Science as well as a Master's. When I was in school, a 90 to 100 was considered an A. A B was an 80 to an 89. A C was a 70 to 79. A D was 60 to 69, and anything below that was considered failing. So we're excited because we're failing at 47% in English language arts, 37% in science, and 27% in math. I don't get excited about that. And if my children brought home scores like that, I promise you they would not be excited for very long. That's nothing to be excited about. But again, I tell you that those were the scores for the state of Alabama. So let's hone it in just a little bit and look at the scores for Jefferson County. And to be honest, their scores are not that great. They're actually worse. Jefferson County English language arts is at 36.2%. Science is at 26% and math is at 14.8%. But they increased. Now you can flip those papers over. And now you'll be able to see and hone in on the scores for schools that are in District 3. I have 5 schools that will be in my district as of November 8th when you go out and vote. They are Shades Valley, Pinson Valley, Fultondale, Clay Chalkful, and Centerpoint. If you'll look at those sheets, what you will see at the top, and I'm sorry I don't have enough to go around, is Shades Valley. Can someone tell me what English language arts is for Shades Valley?
35.
35.1%. Math is 22.1 and science is 34.4. Centerpoint is on the other end of the spectrum. Can someone tell me what Centerpoint's English language arts score is?
3.4.
3.4, just in case you didn't hear that. Math is a 1.2 and science is a 4.2. I'll also add this caveat for Shades Valley. That does include the IB. Yeah, it does include IB. So it does. Now, if we took out the IB, can you imagine what those scores would be? This is not something that I really want to get excited about. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. And at the rate that we're going with a 2% increase from 21 to 22, Centerpoint, which is in District 3, and at a 3.4, 1 point something, and another score that I really wouldn't brag about, it will take them 18 years to catch up to where Shades Valley, which includes the IB, is currently failing at. This is not acceptable to me. If you choose to stay with the status quo, then we're going to continue to receive the same results. It is time for a change. District 3 is an awesome district, but if we don't invest in it, it's not going to get better just because we wish it to be. I encourage you to go out and vote on November 8th for Stephanie Floyd and help make District 3 strong. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes my report. Councilman Sims?
I have nothing to report.
Okay. Councilman Box?
No report either.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes, good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I wanted to report that, and to our council meeting members, as well as those in the audience, we have a ordinance committee meeting scheduled for next Tuesday, September 27th at 5 p.m.
Microphone.
Sorry, can you hear me now? All right, I'll bring it closer. We have an ordinance committee meeting scheduled for next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, September the 27th at 5 p.m. Also, reminder that our neighborhood entrance beautification program begins on October the 1st. That information has been posted on my District 3 Facebook page, as well as distribution list. If you're interested, this is for District 3 residents. I will leave copies with our city clerk. You can pick up copies from her, if that's okay. Is that all right, Lee? And last but not least, one of our favorite people, along with our main librarian here, Miss Dale, Michelle Hamrick. There was a going away party for her. I was very mixed about it. She is our associate library. She's going to be leaving us on the 29th. and she will be deeply missed. She had another opportunity come up. I'm happy for her. I wish her best wishes. She will be serving at the Homewood Library. Not right away. She'll take 10 days off before she begins there. So if you see Michelle Hamrick at the library, please wish her well. She's a great gal, and she's going to be sorely missed here. That's all I have to report.
Thank you. Councilman London?
Thank you, Councilman President Spivey. Good evening to everyone. Just a couple of things. We had Holiday Gardens had a cop stop last night. The police came out, fire came out last night and met the community. Thank you, Chief Wiggins. He's not here tonight. Thank you for putting that together last night. I always enjoy the police department coming out and getting involved with the community. I think always I know that when they get out of the cars and people know who they are, they can better police their community. So thank you, Chief Wiggins, and your department for coming out last night. And also, just a sad note, we lost one of our great friend for a long time, about 25 years myself. Long time. I've been in the community, Stone Ridge, for 30 years. Mr. Johnny Yarbrough passed away on last week. Funeral services this Saturday. So just pray for his wife and his family, 2 sons, as they try to get through this bereavement process. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we would accept any reports from any boards or non-council committees. Any reports from any boards or non-council committees? All right. That being said, we do have to step away into an executive session to handle some pending matters. So I was informed that it would be about a 15-minute delay. So of course we'd love for you to hang out with us while we go and discuss this. But at this time, we need to motion for an executive session to discuss the consideration the city council is willing to offer when considering the purchase, sale, exchange, lease, or market value of real property by the city. May I have a motion?
Make a motion, we enter executive session.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. We will do our best to respect your time. No public hearings tonight. Executive session is behind us. At this time, we would go ahead and enter into council deliberations on agenda items only. So I'm well aware that some items might move around a little bit, so we'll just cross that bridge as we come to it. Item number 1 would be Resolution 2022 R173 that authorizes the allocation of public funds to Camille Witt in the amount of $567 from the 21-22 fiscal year discretionary fund of Councilor Cindy Cuellar to be used exclusively for landscaping materials, delivery, and labor that will be done along the right-of-way entrance into Bramblewood. Councilwoman Cuellar, this is your item. Do you care to introduce it or make any comments?
Yeah, no, this is effort again with beautification. I was approached by the community, I believe it was back in May, and told them I would be happy to do what I could to support their efforts in beautification. And they received the price quote from the Camille Witt, which you have the amount shown on your copy. And the work will begin on September the 26th. And I, as you know, I'm never one that likes to pay until I see the actual work. So I will be holding the check and will be there on the 26th to make sure that the work is done to the satisfaction of everyone that's involved in this.
All right. Councilman Lennon, any questions?
No question.
All right. Councilman Box?
No question.
Councilman Sims?
No question.
Myself, no questions. Do we agree to keep this on consent?
Yes.
All right. Item number 2, housekeeping item, Resolution 2022 R174 changes the date of the City Council meeting on October 4th, 2022 to October 5th of 2022. And this is largely in part due to National Night Out. Councilman London, any questions?
No question.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
No questions.
Councilman Box? No questions. Councilman Sims?
None.
And myself, none. We agree to keep this on consent?
Yes.
Okay. Item number 3, resolve the resolution 2022 R175 approves the fiscal year 2022-23 general fund budget. Item number 4, R176. Item number 5, R177. Item number 6, R178, and item number 7, R179. 179. The first one is general fund. Next one's capital. Next one's water. Next one's E911, and the last one of this series is regarding courts. So we'll go ahead and I didn't hear much conversation around capital, water, 911, or court. So we'll just go ahead and take them one at a time. Councilman London, do you have any questions?
No question, sir.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
We covered a lot of this in the Finance Committee meeting, and as I stated before, I'm not comfortable with approving the budget without having questions answered. And so those are my comments. I am not comfortable. I would like to have the questions answered before I can approve something.
Councilman Box?
Do you have time to ask your questions now?
Some of the major ones, I look at health insurance under administrative. The proposed budget is 0. There are 8 employees in the administrative department, so I'd like to know why it's budgeted 0.
The reason that it was budgeted for 0, there was an error in the Excel spreadsheet, as well as when we were extrapolating the information from the worksheets to input it to the administrative budget.
So there are others that, for instance, workers' comp insurance. We spent close to $300,000. We budgeted $100,000.
The answer for that is workers' comp and property and casualty is under travelers and is under one umbrella. We would need to go back and to be able to divide it out to represent exactly what those expenses would be there, which if you looked at what we budgeted for 22 would be the same thing that we would budget in 23 because the policy renews in February of 23.
So we budgeted 267,800 in 2022, but we're budgeting 100,000 in 2023.
No, what I'm saying is we need to reallocate those funds between those two policies to reflect the actual cost. Some of the cost was an increase because we added additional vehicles to the policy. And as well for workers' comp, the way that workers' comp works is you get audited every year after the year has already taken place. And once they did the audit, they realized that the premium was supposed to reflect a higher rate than what we initially budgeted in 22.
Okay, so the 100,000 is taking all those things into account. Okay, how much do we need to budget for health insurance? You got zero right now.
Let's see.
We've actually spent 54,000.
Health insurance, I think we're proposing about 82, let me see, 54. Let me see. We're at 54 now with actual.
Right.
We're talking about maybe $6,000 to $7,000 a month. We have 2 months that are left.
Right.
7 times 2 is 14. 14 times 54 is 68. I would round it off to 70,000.
That's what I had, 70,000. So, Lee, can you change that 0 to 70,000? All right. Looking at our management consulting services, we had a proposal of 180,000. We spent 136,000. The amount shown is 180. Is there a reason that we're increasing it
The
by
reason.
a large amount?
Oh, yes. The reason that we are increasing it, if you look at the way that the budget was created, we are showing you only 10 months of expenses.
That's correct.
There's still 2 more months of expenses that are left.
Took that
So
into
what
account.
we did, we divided what we had spent so far through the first 10 months. We extrapolated that over the next 2 months, anticipating that if we added some other contracts to that, that's how we came up with that figure.
That was also the section that had gone down 2 lines. So they weren't lining up for that block.
All right, so that's the one that you said should be 163. Is that correct?
I believe so. This
Okay.
163 line up.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not really looking at it. I'm speaking off the top of my head.
Okay.
And thank you for the answers, Mayor. It's just clarifying.
Yes. Looking at public schools, we've spent 107,500. We budgeted 150,000. We're increasing that by another 50,000. Now, I have received several comments from my constituents in regard to increasing our public school area. We do provide in-kind services. I think 150,000 is adequate to support our schools here in Irondale. I would like to ask that we keep that at 150 instead of bumping it up another 50,000 to 200,000.
I'd like to see it remain at 200,000 and support our schools.
Okay.
I'll say a point of order on this. We're actually supposed to just be asking questions, not giving our suggestions. at
Okay.
this point.
All right. Thank you.
And I'm allowing the 10 minutes
Thank
that
you.
we have on
Yes.
paper for this deliberation.
Sure, thank you.
Right. Okay. There are several issues here. Fuels and lubricants, looking at our police department. I actually met with Congressman Palmer because we were working on our budgets back when the ALM hosted him. And I asked him about fuel and lubricants, that projection, we should make adjustments for increase in prices for fuel and lubricants. He urged us strongly to increase that. So if you look at the police department, the fire department, our public works departments, all of those have been increased, taking that into account. So instead of the 105 that you estimated for the 2023, is there a reason that we can't increase it to 125 for our police department?
Well,
Taking what the congressman said into account.
okay. Well, what the congressman said was about 2 months ago. And if you look at the fuel prices to see where they are now, they are lower now than they've been 2 months ago. And also the way we purchase fuel is not the way the everyday citizen purchase fuel. We purchase fuel through a auctioning process. So we have companies actually auctioning every month to be able to sell gas to the city. So we buy gas at real-time prices with competition. We feel very confident after, and let me tell you where my numbers come from. I can quote these numbers to you. I can tell you exactly what they are. But these numbers come from the people that do the work every day. Every number that you see in this budget or spending plan, it doesn't come from the mayor, because the mayor realized that he's not smart enough to be able to tell Josh what goes on in the fire department. I'm not smart enough to be able to tell Jason what goes on in the police department. And I sure can't tell Frank with those 5 departments that he runs on a very efficient basis how they are going to be spending money. So these numbers come from the people that actually do the work. I just get an opportunity to be able to share it with you all.
Right, and if I can respond, sir, I did take that into account. I looked at what was budgeted in 2022. It was 95,000. We have actually spent 105,000 with 2 more months to go, which is going to put us way over. And it is why I thought it may be something to consider to increase it to 125,000.
Well, I would, like I said, I would like to leave it the same, because one of the things that we're going to do in January or February, we're going to come back and we'll go through the same rodeo, because we will have actual versus projected. At that time, that's when we will true up the numbers, because we will have 6 months of an average to be able to determine that. We'll know exactly what's going on in the economy. We know that the feds are going to hike the rates 0.75% over the next 3 months. So there's a lot of uncertainty that's going to take place in the economy. And to try to nail down the economy in September, to me, is asinine. And I feel more confident waiting until we get to February after we have true numbers to make adjustments.
One final comment, and then Council President, I'll go ahead and stop. Anytime you work in a budgeting process, and I know you're familiar with it, Mayor Stewart, is you try to get as close as you can. You try to get as much historical data as you can and input from those that work in these departments. And it is one of the reasons that we have the Finance Committee meetings to address all of these questions, so that we can then proceed to go on and approve the budget. Since we haven't done that, and I don't want to prolong it and belabor it, I'm willing to go ahead and move forward with things as they are. But really and truly, you do the best that you can with the budget, and then you have your mid-year revisions, and you either go up or down. And because of the variances, that's why I was concerned. But because we don't have time, and I don't want our city employees not to get the increases that we gave them our word that we would do effective October 1st, then I'm willing to go with this budget the way that it's been proposed. But I will be looking at it diligently at mid-year, and I would like data where we can go on and make the adjustments that we need to make in a Finance Committee meeting. So as long as we can do that, then I'm good with this.
Council President, can I just say one thing? Because I don't want all the employees that are watching this council meeting to bombard me with an email about not getting their increase. These spending plans has nothing to do with the increase that we adopted 2 months ago, because we adopted those resolutions that on October the 5th, that's when their raises will begin. So their raises will begin on October the 5th, regardless if this spending plans are adopted or not. So please don't send me an email wanting to know if you all will get your salary increase in October.
Fair enough. Thank you. Councilman Box?
First off, Mayor, thanks for answering the question. Councilwoman Cuellar, thanks for asking. As a novice to municipal budgets, it's always a good learning experience for me, and hopefully it is for a lot of our citizens as well. So I will say this, Mayor, you made the best point that I use in my business. I have my department heads tell me what they need, and unless it's somewhere completely out of line, we go with it. We adjust it as we go. So I'm prepared, as I had said earlier, I was prepared to look at Councilwoman Cuellar's adjustments and pass some type of blended or pass the mayor's as it is. I'm good as we are.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
And myself, no questions. Thank you for the deliberation. Do we agree to keep item number 3 on consent?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes.
Okay. Item number 4, Resolution 176 that approves the 2022-23 capital budget. Councilman London, any questions there?
No questions, sir.
Councilwoman Cuellar, any questions there?
Yeah, I'm just pulling that up. We weren't able to discuss that in the Finance Committee meeting.
Would you like me to circle back?
Yes, please.
Councilman Box?
No questions.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
And myself, no questions. You can have that back, Councilwoman Cuellar.
Yeah, is this the one that the surplus is 375, 350? No, I'm looking at the water. Let me find the capital one. I'm actually not finding that one. Okay.
You got it for her?
Okay. Yeah, the only questions I have with administration, all of these amounts that are being proposed, we have 75,000 for administration. What is that for?
Well, one of the things is that we wanted to get our own equipment to be able to perform movie night in the park. I know that that's one thing, and also to be able to purchase the trailer to be able to pull everything that goes along with it. And we also wanted to provide a mid-sized vehicle for the employees that work in the admin section. Right now, we do not have anything for people to run errands, or if they are getting ready to go to training of anything of that nature. So I want to say that's pretty much the bulk of it. Lee, did I miss something out? That's pretty much about it. Okay.
Okay, we have 300,000.
Oh, and I guess the last thing is that we wanted to start doing our own podcasting and being able to have our own media room to be able to broadcast things from the city as well. So we'll have a room that's kind of like in the White House, where you go to the media and the president and the press secretary begins to prep people to know exactly what's going on in their community. That's another communication piece that we wanted to add so that we can continue to get out accurate and good information to our citizens.
The police department, 300,500. What is that for?
Let me see. Chief, you over there? Okay. I know one of them is to be able to create a drone program of your capital. Your capital items? I know one of them is drone program, and the second one would be, is it the take home car program that we plan on presenting? Okay. Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Chief Wiggins. The 440,000 for the fire department. What is that for?
Josh, you want to elaborate on what those items are?
Some of that money is just for equipment, as far as personal protective equipment that we need to replace and keep on hand throughout the year. The biggest purchase is a fire safety and industrial safety education trailer for the community. It is a trailer for fire and weather safety that we can take to the schools. We can have at community events to educate the citizens on weather safety. But we would also, with this trailer, be able to provide fire extinguisher training as well as industrial safety classes for our local businesses.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
The 60,000 for Public Works, what is that for, please?
I can answer that for Frank because Frank is the most frugal department head that we have. Frank only wants, is it 4 Skag lawnmowers, Frank? So that's 4 Skag lawnmowers.
Thank you. And last but not least, 174,500 for the Water Department. What is that for?
I can't remember exactly what Jared was. Do you know, Josh? Okay. All right. So, Lee, did he give you I think you may have okay. Lee will get that information and to be able to, I don't want to misspeak on what it was. I don't know if it's additional pipe or anything like that he was, I just can't think of it right now.
Okay.
Is that your last question?
Yeah, that was the last question.
I'm going to go ahead and move on. Oh, you got it? Okay. And what would that be?
Oh yeah. We need to upgrade. SCADA is the equipment that we have on all of our water tanks that helps to monitor level, chlorine, all of that. I mean, it's the thing that helps us to make sure that we're providing our citizens with clean drinking water. So he wants to upgrade the current SCADA system that we have to put in a new system to be able to monitor the water inside of the tanks to make sure that everything is remaining at the levels that are set by ADEM.
Okay. Thank you. 2 more things, okay?
Okay.
Yes, right now, if you go over to the plant, I think everything is gravel, and every time it rains, it washes away. So he wants to go ahead and put a concrete pad in there so they won't have to deal with that every time we have a harsh rain storm.
Thank you.
This helps a lot. Thank you.
Councilman Box?
No questions.
Councilman Sims? I'm good as well. Do we agree to keep item number 4 on consent?
Yes.
Okay. Item number 5, 177, that deals with the fiscal year 2022-23 Water Department budget. Councilman London, any questions?
No question.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yeah, let me just find that one. See if I had anything. On the management consulting, we didn't expend any funds in 2022. Are we planning to have management consulting? Is that why we kept 50,000?
I don't know for sure what may transpire. Maybe that's why we have that number there. But I know we have municipal consultants is the main consultant for the water department. I'm thinking because of some of the current projects that we have on board, and I'm thinking I can't give a lot of detail, but I do know that we need to provide more water to certain areas for proposed development in the area.
Okay. Thank you. That's the only question I had on that.
Councilman Box?
No questions.
Councilman Sims?
None.
And myself, no questions. Do we agree to keep this on consent?
Yes.
Okay. Item number 6, Resolution 178 approves the fiscal year 2022-2023 E911 budget. Councilman London, any questions there?
No, sir.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
No questions.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
And myself, no questions. Do we agree to keep this on consent?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Item number 7, Resolution 179 approves the fiscal year 2022-23 court budget. Councilman London, any questions?
No question.
Councilwoman Cuellar,
No questions.
Councilman Box,
I'm good.
Councilman Sims.
Also good.
Outstanding. Do we agree to keep that on consent?
Yes.
Fantastic. Item number 8, 2022 R180 authorizes the allocation of public funds to Shades Valley High School in the amount of $8,000 from the 21-22 fiscal year budget to be used exclusively for the Shades Valley's girls and boys basketball team. Mayor, this has your name on it. Do you care to introduce it?
Yes, it's just that if you're going to have a great basketball team and you're going to have a basketball team that scores, you got to be able to shoot. So they haven't had a shooting machine up there for, I want to say, maybe since Christian went to Birmingham Southern, reached out to the coach and said that you have any needs that the city could help you with. And that was one of the things. This shooting machine will be used by the girls and boys. It'll be used by the freshman team, junior varsity, and varsity for girls and boys. So 6 teams will get an opportunity to benefit from this one piece of equipment.
Thank you, sir. Councilman London, any questions?
You probably be able to get 2 of those machines for that. No, I'll talk with the coaches about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councilwoman
question.
Cuellar, you good?
No questions.
Okay. Councilman Box,
No question.
Councilman Sims.
None.
Okay. Do we agree to keep this on consent?
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody? Okay. Item number 9, this is a long one, stay with me. Resolve the resolutions 2022 R181 resolve declares the week of October 17th, 2022 through October 21st, 2022 as Teacher Appreciation Week in the city of Irondale and authorizes the donation of $6,300 to Shades Valley High School, $2,900 to Irondale Middle School, $3,500 to Grantswood Community School, $3,500 to Irondale Community School, and $1,900 to JCIB from the fiscal year 2022-2023 educational budget for the purpose of making individual and equal grants to the teachers within each school out of the amounts given to each school for use solely within such teacher's classroom. I'm confident there's a run-on sentence in there.
The numbers that.
Well, the reason that the numbers don't match because Councilman Sims decided to give an additional $1,000 to each school. And
One moment for
So
me.
we go with what's written on our.
go what's written on
I
your
will-
updated agenda
I will-
versus what's
okay.
on the
Very well. Thank you.
the agenda that's out there. And while you all are doing that, I'll just give you all the context and the backdrop for it. Last week, Councilwoman Cuellar and Councilman Sims and myself was at the Economic Development Academy that took place at Lawson State. This is a course that's given through the Alabama League of Municipalities. One of the speakers, first thing in the morning, he said that 98% of the teachers in the classroom are not appreciated by the community. After hearing him say that, I thought about how we can do something from the city that is very small, but to be able to honor the teachers that are in the classroom that really get all of the work done. I thought about the most equitable way to be able to do that is that we would give money to the school, but $100, the amounts are based on the number of teachers at the school time 100 or divided by $100. So each teacher at the school will get $100 added to their account for them to be able to use in the classroom to help their students.
Thank you. And I will go ahead and reread the corrected version. Resolve declares the week of, okay, we've got the dates down. 7,300 to Shades Valley High School, 3,900 to Irondale Middle School, 4,500 to Grantswood Community School, 4,500 to Irondale Community School, and 2,900 to JCIB. The amount is funded as follows: $18,100 from the fiscal year 21-22 educational budget and $5,000 from the fiscal year 2021-2022 discretionary fund of Councilman Aaron Sims. So that's the updated version. Councilman London, any questions?
Well, as a person who works in a classroom every day and deal with over 1,500 students every day, this is very appreciative because I see firsthand at what our teachers go through. You know, and some of you can sit back and complain about the teachers and the reading scores and all of that stuff. But if you really want some change in our schools and if you care, get involved. Get involved with our schools, get involved with our kids, go read to them, spend some time with them, because I see it firsthand every day from 7 a.m. until when I leave about what our teachers go through. And let me tell you, it's a thankless job because they do not get paid enough for the work that they have. And so for all you teachers, former teachers out there, appreciate your effort because it's important. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilman Sims, for this. And I'm telling you, $100 really not enough. It's really not. But everything that you give, they're really appreciative. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Cuellar?
No comments.
Councilman Box?
No questions.
Councilman Sims?
None.
Okay. And myself, none. Do we agree to keep this on consent?
Yes.
Yes. Outstanding. Oh, and final comment, Parent Teacher Association. The Grantswood Community School, I'm sorry, not Grantswood, the community school over here on 16th couldn't even form a board because not 10 people were willing to volunteer. My wife's already on there. She suckered me in now, so I'll be on the board with the PTA as well. But that humongous school, not even 10 parents could give that gift of time. I know we all live a busy life, but talk about appreciating teachers. There's no better way, I think, other than monetizing occasionally, but to give your time back to your school system. So there's that. Item number 10, resolve that resolution 2022 R182 authorizes Mayor James D. Stewart Jr. to make assets of the city available in support of commercial filming and/or print projects within the city and to establish a policy for the amount of fees to be charged for the use of such assets. Councilman Lennon, any questions?
No question.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
None.
Councilman Box?
I'm good.
Councilman Sims?
Good.
And I'm good as well. Do we agree to keep this on consent?
Yes.
Outstanding. Item number 11, Resolution 2022 R183 modifies Resolution 2022 R116 to authorize Mayor James D. Stewart Jr. or his designee to dispose of the property listed in Exhibit A to Resolution 2022 R116 through disposal as trash items by the Irondale Public Works Department. Councilman London, any questions?
No question.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
None.
Councilman Box? Councilman Sims?
No questions.
And I'm good as well. Do we agree to keep this on consent?
Yes.
All right. Item number 12, Resolution 2022 R184 authorizes the allocation of public funds in the amount of $500 from the 21-22 fiscal year discretionary fund of Councilor John London to Shades Valley High School to be used exclusively for Shades Valley High School cheerleaders. Councilman London, this has your name on it. Care to introduce?
I love my basketball, my football, but I really love my cheerleaders, and they really worked hard. Anybody been to a football game this year? High school Shades Valley football game? Did you enjoy it? Next time, stand on the fence and watch the cheerleaders. They probably the hardest working people in sports are the cheerleaders. So I told them that I was giving them a little something. They got they'd like to do some different things, and they were in tears. And it's, again, $500 not enough, but they really appreciate it. So thank you, council.
Cool. Councilwoman Cuellar?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
No questions.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
And myself, no questions either. Do we agree to keep item number 12 on consent?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So we come to our regular agenda. All right. And item number 13, there's obviously some blank spots here. So these are things that are going to be needing to be filled in. But I understand we have some people in the audience that can probably help us with that. Ordained that Ordinance 2022-23 provides for the issuance by the city of Irondale for blank aggregate principal amount general obligation warrants series 2022A and blank aggregate principal amount general obligation warrants series 2022B. So if we have someone prepared to present on that, I would love to yield the floor.
Thanks, Councilman Spivey.
Greetings.
How is everybody?
Good, thank you.
So just so that everybody in the audience knows, the blanks are for the Series 2022A, $6,855,000. $6,855,000 on the 2022 A's. And then on the 2022 B's, $6,780,000. $6,780,000. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I have them flipped around? Yeah, I do. $6,780,000 on the A's, $6,855,000 on the B's. My apologies. Rod, I didn't mean to give you a heart attack there. We've got some lawyers in the audience. I didn't mean to give them a heart attack. So, let me give you just a brief overview of this. So, today the city issued or sold 2 series of bonds, and they're, it's obviously pending your approval. And those 2 series of bonds are the Series A and Series B that we've talked about. The purpose of those bonds is to purchase property around town. And so there are several different purchases of property, as well as pay off a short-term note of the city. So 2 purposes there. And let me give you the interest rate on both of those. The interest rate on the 2022 A is 4.41%. The interest rate on the 2022 B's is 4.836%, 4.84%. So blended together, the 2 interest rates on both of those pieces of debt is 4.55%. These 2 pieces of debt added together have debt service annually of $1,030,000 approximately, within a few $1,000s each year. It does carry a final maturity in fiscal year 2043. And the debt is callable at par after 10 years. So those are just some basic terms of the debt service. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have or go into any greater detail that you may want. I will say the B series is taxable and the A series is tax exempt. What that means is investors pay income tax on interest received from the bond payments on the 2022 Bs, but not on the 2022 As. And as a result, investors will give you a little bit lower of an interest rate on the tax exempt series than they will on the taxable series. And so if you're wondering why there's a difference in rate, that's part of the reason. The other part of the reason is we structure this so that the taxables will pay off first. That's your most expensive debt service, so we're trying to pay that down first, and then the tax exempts pay off after that. So those are kind of the 2 pieces, a little bit of an overview. I'm trying to keep it brief, but I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody may have on the
Thank you.
debt.
Councilman London?
No question.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yeah, it's basically concerns and questions, a mixture of both, because for the benefit of the audience here, this 2022A that is for $6.7 million, this is actually a short-term bond that is being refunded. The city issued a short-term bond for a period of 3 years for that $5.06 million at a 2.69% rate. The bond would mature in July of 2025. The interest that we would be paying on that bond would be approximately $137,626.38 for 2023, 2024, and 2025. In July of 2025, the $5.06 million would be due. What I struggle with here is that the city has the funds in our reserved accounts. We're a little over $11.3 million in reserves, and it made sense to set aside in an escrow account $1.7 million over the next 3 years so that we could pay this $5.06 million in 2025. It would have been retired. What I struggle with in looking at this bond, the way that it's been restructured, because we would basically refund that 5.06, and then reissued more debt, but this time it's 6.7. And what is troubling for me is that this is a 20-year long term for 6.7. And I worked hard over the weekend doing all the calculations. And so the interest for the first 12 years on this 6.7 would come out to 3.375 million. And we wouldn't even touch the principal until year 13. And at the end of the 20 years, we would pay $4.527 million. This doesn't make sense to me when we are in a state where we can pay a short-term bond of 5.06 and save on all that interest. It is ludicrous for me. It doesn't make sense. And so I don't understand why we can't continue to keep the $5.06 million bond and pay it off in July versus kicking this can down the road for 20 years and paying $4.5 million at the end of 20 years. This doesn't make sense at all.
Is that your final
Yes.
question? Would you care to respond
At a
to Councilwoman?
4.41% rate when we have a 2.69% rate right now.
I probably need to respond to that.
Fair enough.
more of from the city perspective than for Matt, because Matt is only following through by selling the bonds. Well, first of all, when we got the short-term loan for when we purchased the Zamora, the intent was never to take $5 million out of the reserve fund and to be able to pay that off. The goal was always to have the short-term financing so that when we consolidated all of the purchases that we are getting ready to make, and I guess I can share that information since we want to be transparent and let everybody know what's going on. The taxable portion is for the hospital property. The city is buying the hospital property, $6.7 million. The reason that it's taxable, because if we ever decide to do commercial development and we were to sell off a portion to investors, if we went at this from a non-taxable perspective, it could create a large tax bill. Am I correct, Rod?
Yes, sir.
All right. So that's why we have the taxable portion. The reason that we have the non-taxable portion on the Zamora is because when we purchased the Zamora, our thoughts were we would turn this into a recreational oasis for the city of Irondale. If you participated in the master plan, there were questions about what could we do to be able to use the Zamora Temple. Therefore, if I sum this whole story up, we are now in control of over 266 acres in one of the prime areas in the city of Irondale. And we are looking to develop a new city inside of the city. So I don't want anybody to think that the land is just going to sit there and we have no plans on what we're going to do, because we never would have purchased it if we didn't have an idea of what we were going to do. Now, we can't tell you everything when we are trying to work these deals, because if the information would have gotten out that the city was the one that was behind the story, initially the hospital tried to sell the property for $15 million. And we ended up getting the property for 6.7. So if you want to know the real story behind the story, or if you want to know the context of why we did exactly what we are doing, this is the reason why we are doing it. And one of the things that Matt mentioned that Councilwoman Cuellar did not say in her speech, these bonds are callable after 10 years. So I don't want you all walking out to think that we got to hold them for 20 years, because we don't. We can sell, we can redevelop, and we can refund. I love those 3 R's. But those are some of the things that we could actually do with the property, and that's why we are doing what we are doing.
Thank you.
Councilman Spivey, if you don't mind, I'll just respond on a couple of things. Just make sure,
Please.
just provide some clarification. So, Councilman Cuellar, I appreciate your comments. Thank you for
You're
your
welcome.
concerns there. We are amortizing principal on, if you look at both of these as one piece for purchase of property, we're amortizing principal every year in the structure. I mentioned that we're trying to pay off the taxable first. And one of the ways to do that is to accelerate how much we pay on the taxable every year and then pay off the tax exempt last. And so that provides us with a lower cost of funds than just simply paying on both principal every year. So that's the reason why we did that. The second thing is, you mentioned the difference in principal amount. I would say we did, there is some additional funds in there for
Right.
some property pieces along with the payoff. So that's the
Right.
reason for the difference.
Right.
In that. So I just want to make
Yeah,
sure.
I noted that.
Yeah.
That's why it was 6.78.
Right.
Right, I noted that.
Okay.
What I also would like to note is these two bonds will increase our long-term debt from what we've got right now, which is 38 million, to 52 million. These two bonds will. And it's just to acquire the land, the hospital land, the 2022B. It involves development. It involves everything if you're going to make it available to sell. And I've heard from my constituents, and I won't go into that right now, but when we met and we discussed the short term for the Zamora Temple, I agreed to short term with the understanding that we would pay it off in 2025. I was never told that we were going to turn this into a long-term debt. And it's why when I look at the numbers and I do everything, it doesn't make sense to kick this can down the road and keep paying the interest where we wind up paying $4.5 million. And if it's callable, interest for 12 years. Okay, so if you call it in 10 years, you're still going to pay about $3 million worth of interest. Doesn't make sense. That's all I have to say.
Councilman Box?
I don't know if it's apropos, but I've heard the mayor's reasonings, which are solid to me. I've heard this sentiment, but Mr. Mack, you're one of our financial advisors. Could you give us some your opinion on the situation? As Councilman Cuellar makes a good point on some of it, but I don't know the whole story, so I'd like to know more.
Well, I'm Mac Underwood with Terminus, the FA. We worked right alongside Raymond James and Matt Adams on this project. And you also have to think about where the interest rate is now. You're in an inflationary period where interest rates are rising. So when you get to 2025, who knows what the interest rate's going to be. You may have to pay more interest than what you're paying now. And the city is not going to take surplus funds and pay off the debt in a short period of time. Then it's better to go ahead and refinance and fund all of this at one point in time. We kind of bundled everything and put everything together so that you could get the lowest interest rate possible at this point in time. And the market, well, we met yesterday and the market actually increased by 13, 15 basis points overnight. So we don't know what it's going to do in the next 3 to 4 years. It may be a whole lot more. And if you go wait to do that, we recommend going ahead and proceeding and refinancing at this point in time.
Just for the sake of clarity, Mr. Underwood, the short-term bond that we have, 5.06 million, that
I'm
is
gonna
a
interrupt you for just a second,
fixed-term rate
Council.
of 2.69.
Point of
Is that
order,
not
Councilwoman
correct?
Cuellar. This is Councilman Box's opportunity to field his questions. Thank
I'd
you.
like to ask that question then.
I understand.
I appreciate that. So I think what I'm seeing, and once again, I'm learning all the time, but I think what the mayor's helping us do is maintain our reserve, not necessarily as cash flow, but maintain the reserve, fund this out and move it out over the long term as we're getting it developed, whether it develops as commercial or whether it develops as retail or whatever it becomes, it can start generating income and hopefully in a lot less than 20 years, which would help us pay for it anyway. As I said, Councilwoman Cuellar makes a good point of, we're paying this month, we're going to pay a ton of interest, but I think that the vision will be that this will more than take care of paying for any interest by maintaining our reserves as they are.
Well, you mentioned the reserves, and we had a call with S&P, the rating agency, and one thing they wanted to know was what was the projected level of reserves for the city. So we were able to go through that and basically indicate that the city has no outlook to really draw down on the reserves, which they gave us a good rating, which was a AA plus, kind of going into a positive realm for the city. So all of that was positive during that time frame and during the meeting with the rating agencies. So the reserve did come into place.
Very good, sir. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Councilman Sims, do you have any questions?
No questions.
I do not have any questions. Councilwoman Cuellar, I yield the floor back up to you for a brief
Yes.
moment to clarify.
The short-term bond that we had issued back earlier this year was a fixed interest rate of 2.69%. Is that not the case over 3 years? I've got my notes.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah, it's a fixed rate of 2.69% over a 3-year time frame. So when I look at that, and I do look at our reserves, and I do understand the bond markets, and I do understand how the ratings go, I can tell you, sir, that back in 2016, because I have attended all these council meetings, the city had debt of $58 million and had a AA rating, and their reserves were a little over $3 million, and they still maintain that AA rating. All right, we've got 3 times as much in reserve.
Is there a
So,
question?
no,
Is there a
it's
question
just
for the
simply
gentleman, or
making
was it statement only?
simply making a statement that, yes, reserves are good, and we've got 11.3 million, but we had a little over 3 million, and the S&P was fine with that as well. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. That ends the deliberation on these 13 items. Everything so far that has been agreed upon to stay on consent, we'll obviously go through that process. This item of new business will be an ordinance, so if someone could be prepared to take us through the process on that. So at this point, I would call for approval of the form of the agenda.
Make a motion that we approve the form of the agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded. All right. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. At this time, we will accept public comments on agenda items only. Public comments on agenda items only.
I just listened to this about the bond issue, and do we have any numbers of what it's really gonna cost?
Yes,
Do we have a schedule of what it's gonna cost?
you're talking about the monthly,
The whole bond issue.
yes, I'm quite sure we have the amortization schedule of how much the whole bond issue would cost over 20 years. But they did state that it will add annually $1,030,000 to the annual debt service that we'd have to pay out of our general fund.
How was it for us going out and hiring somebody to be our financial advisor, recommend bonds when they get a cut on the bonds? Now, our last bond issue, did they get paid for that?
Well, let me clarify something. First of all, bond underwriters do not suggest or recommend that you purchase bonds so that they can get a cut. No, that's what you said. That's what you. I'm not. Let me speak. You said that did the people who recommended the bonds, did they get a cut from the city selling the bonds? And I'm correcting you to say that's not how it happens. They have federal laws and federal regulations, and I'm quite sure Mr. Adams is not going to lose his license to sell bonds. Attorney Cantor and Chandler are not going to. No, let me get through. Because I don't want statements like that go out to make it seem as if something is being done unethical. And I don't want anything to stain these individuals' reputation as if they are doing something unethical by bringing bond deals to the city and forcing the city to purchase bonds so they can get paid.
Let me finish. I did not say that people shouldn't apply. I said, we hired a company, Ms. Dunwood, to be our advisor. You said that you wanted to surround yourself with people when you told us how you know all about bonds, but we hired. Now, when we did the $5 million thing at Zamora Temple, don't they get a percentage, or how are they paid?
Everybody gets a percentage, Mr. Graham. The attorneys get a percentage and charge a fee for the bond issue. The municipal advisor in their contract, which is separate, there's a separate section in their contract that allows them to be able to get paid whenever the city enters into a bond issue. And the underwriter that sells the bonds also receives a fee for their work.
This has nothing to do with the underwriting. This is our in-house people.
I've already stated that the municipal advisor receives a fee when the city purchases bonds.
We just did the $5 million deal with the Zamora Temple, where they paid a fee to go along.
Yes, everybody you see sitting out there were paid a fee.
We're gonna put that $5 million back in the pot again. He's gonna get paid again for another $5 million transaction within.
Mr. Graham, I understand you have questions. The contract per se isn't necessarily up for questioning. The question is about just the bond issuance, particularly to themselves, not the details of the contract.
Well, I'm saying that you don't realize what you're paying.
I think we have a good idea of what we're paying.
Did you realize that he would be doing on that $5 million?
First off, I'm not going to allow you to make accusations on this floor that anybody is double dipping. That is number one, because there is no ethics violations that are going on here. Okay. Every time a bond is sold, yes, people get paid for it.
So who gets paid the second time?
Every time a bond is sold, people get paid for it.
I'd be glad to answer.
I would love you
That's
to.
helpful.
We need to stop
As
paying
part of
for
the
that
short term,
rent-
I'm not
rent that
the
building.
municipal
That's what we
advisor,
need to do.
so I'm speaking for our firm. But I know the municipal advisor did the same thing, so they're welcome to speak up if they want to. Our firm, we charged a deeply discounted rate on the original short-term loan, knowing that we were likely to refinance that at some point in 3 years. And we actually have withheld that bill. The city's paid nothing to us on that so far. So
I want to.
I just wanted to let you know that, yeah.
About your issuing the bond.
No, I understand your concern. I'm just telling you, both of us did. Sure.
I wasn't saying disparity about that. I'm just saying, here it is as a council, we're gonna bring this up tonight. And y'all got another call session in the morning around this thing through. And I don't think that we don't know what we're paying. I don't think you've got all the I's and T's dotted to know to vote on it as a project.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have any other comments on agenda items only? All right.
Wait,
Yes, ma'am.
wait.
Hey, I'm Grace Barksdale, and I emailed all of the city council back in August about the city's insurance and about
Do you mind waiting to the end for non-agenda items?
insurance and part of the budget.
Okay. So, are you coming from Bates?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. He didn't say that you were going to be talking specifically about the budget. He thought you were going to make some non-agenda items. If you're dealing with the agenda, that's fine. You're clear to go.
No, I can wait.
No, if you're talking about the budget, it's an agenda item. You're good. I didn't realize it was going to be dealing with an agenda item. That's all. You're good. Sorry. Thank you.
Here's the email. But we are the Irondale Chamber of Commerce. Small Business of the Year, and we're asking for you guys to write your insurance for the city of Iredell. And we would like a consideration on that. We contacted you and we hope that you can support your business. And that was an attachment to the email.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other comments on agenda items only? Yes, ma'am.
This is a great discussion. Thank you, and I appreciate your comments.
Ms. Markowitz, can you come to the microphone since they're trying to hear you on Facebook?
I would ask the council, the financing in this whole United States is awful right now. The interest rates are going to go up. I think now's not the good time to buy property. I understand it looks like a good deal. Interest rates are going up. Irondale's not representing our tax money well. We can't hold on to gigantic businesses so we can use that tax base. We lost Sam's. If we had a really good history of holding on to businesses and we could use that tax revenue to buy property, that would be great. But we just increased our property tax. I don't want my property tax to be used in buying land. So I would like to see us not buy the property. So thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Any other comments on agenda items only? Okay. At this point, let me flip my sheet back over. I'd ask for an approval of the consent agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda to include items 1 through 12.
We have a motion.
Yeah, I said I make a motion.
Yep. Okay. I meant to say I have a motion. Do we have a second? Yep. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. No opposed? Outstanding. For item number 13, if someone would like to go ahead and put this on the floor.
Make a motion that ordinance 2022-23 be considered read.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman London. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Make a motion that we suspend all rules that would prevent the immediate consideration of ordinance 2022-23.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilman London?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
Yes.
And myself, yes. Finally, sir.
Make a motion that ordinance 2022-23 be approved and adopted.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay. So legal, that will come back up in 2 weeks, presumably?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me just comment. I am not one that will intentionally hold up a bill when the majority is wanting it to go, but my constituents have contacted me about it. They are adamantly opposed to it, and I am representing them, and it's why I voted no.
Fair enough. At this point, we would take any comments on the council for non-agenda items. Non-agenda items.
Just real quickly, during the finance session, y'all did mention monies being expended for someone to maintain our website. Ask that person to sit down with the public. Our websites are inaccurate. We have multiple websites. We still have that issue where if you want to, under the city council, put in a complaint, Alabama is in the location, you can't get it out, so you can't submit anything. There are multiple issues, multiple websites, old information, going back to 2017, even when you go in the new website. I would be glad to spend time with someone, but somebody really needs to get our money's worth out of whoever's maintaining our website. And thank y'all.
Fair enough.
Appreciate it.
Council President Spivey, I would like to ask, I appreciate Miss Barksdale. Is that your last name? Okay. What is the process? I mean, what do we need to do here? Because when I look at this data that she's provided, and I look at where our current insurance is being held, what, same price, same everything. So the question I have is why are we not giving the insurance business to our local business community?
That would be a conversation.
Hey, Councilman, can
Okay.
I go ahead and speak to this?
Sure.
Because this kind of like popped up at the work session or the town hall meeting unexpectedly. So I would like to go ahead and nip it in the bud. The first thing I would like to ask our presenter, how many municipalities do you all represent? No, I'm asking you at the present time, how many municipalities do your insurance firm represent? Yeah, I thought I would have known that when I came to pass. No, let me speak, because we are a municipality. We are a different animal. I can go into the history of this whole deal, but I told you at the last meeting, I don't want to do that. But apparently you want to keep coming so I can share with everybody. No, well, it's amazing how you said it to the city council, but I'm the one who deals with the insurance. No, but that's not what I said. You said that you sent the quote to the city council.
I think this is probably not the best time for the conversation.
let me just what
Ma'am?
well, let me say this. Let me just go ahead and sum everything up. The reason that we don't use them is because they don't deal with municipalities. And municipalities
Fair
is a
enough.
different animal, so that's why they're not the broker for the city of Irondale.
Thank you. Any other comments on agenda items only? On non-agenda items?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I turned in a Freedom of Information Act asking for a contract with. I was told that we do not have a contract with the attorney. Would you send me that in an email or to letter? I was told no. And this goes back to what I said before about, do you really know what you're getting, what you're paying for? These are the closing statements. Properties that you get.
I don't want one.
Two of them. Somebody not to have a contract, get $24,000 on each one of these purchases. There again, it goes back to what you're paying for. If you look up here, you got a title commitment for properties.
Are we talking about non-agenda items or agenda
We're
items?
talking about non-agenda items.
It's a non-agenda item? Okay.
He's
I
in,
just wanna make
he's
sure.
in the right lane.
Make sure.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is why I couldn't get a response on that. If we don't have a contract, how do we know what we're paying? We paid, I don't know who's doing your closing, but here we are paying. One of them, we paid the full title policy, which the seller is supposed to furnish you title. The other one, we paid half of the title. And then we paid $24,000, $25,000 on one of them, $24,500 on another. But I don't understand why, if you turn in something, do we not have a contract?
When you asked earlier whether there was a contract, our city clerk gave you an accurate answer. There is no contract and I am not required to actually have one. So the title commitment that you actually question here was actually agreed to by the city council in a separate sales agreement. You should know as a real estate developer that that's the way that that works. You should also know that there is an individual attorney's agreement per transaction. That's also listed in an agreement. So this does not have in any way to deal with the city's, what they pay on a basis each month for general city services.
In other words, these amounts on each one of these purchases, how do y'all arrive at that figure? Is that for, what we got?
Mr. Graham, your 2 minutes is up. If you want to like to seek further information that is publicly available, please request it.
I'll answer that. It's actually by hour. We actually take this down to the 10th of the hour. So there is a documented list of everything that was done in this particular, transaction. That is exactly correct. There were environmentals. There was everything. This was a huge real estate, closing. That is the way that everything worked out.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Graham, are we paying you $25,000 a year for your building?
Councilman Lemon, thank you.
Don't we have anything in your building?
Councilman Lemon, point of order, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, we all
Mr. Graham, same goes. Thank you.
One.
Any other comments on non-agenda items? I will have to say, and this is just me stepping out on a limb before I close this, for the past year or so, we've had a really good tight ship up here, and over the past 4 or 5 meetings or so, I've gone home very frustrated, contemplating many decisions about what I do with my time. Okay, and I am just, I don't know where this is coming from. I feel like there is a possible, I don't know if there's a group in the city that just do not trust our mayor and our council, and that is fine. We're all welcome to have those ideas if we have them. But it is my desire that that we really get back to where we were several weeks ago. I took a lot of pride in our well-oiled machine, but we are I think regressing a little bit. So that is my final comment for the evening. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.